Forgiveness is one of the hardest things that we can ever do in our lifetime. The anger, pain, betrayal, and hurt we feel from others can be so intense that it consumes our minds for years, even decades. However, there are many benefits to letting go. So today, I will share with you the science behind forgiveness and inner peace. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. Before we start, I want to remind you that you are amazing. Just in case no one tells you that today. Now, let's get started. No one, your brain causes you to ruminate on your negative thoughts. Ever notice how your mind seems to replay the same old arguments over and over again? You might think you're crazy because it seems like you're reliving the past, but this is actually called rumination. Psychologist Dr. Randall D. O'Brien explains that rumination is when your brain keeps replaying an experience in your head over and over again. And it turns out that your brain does this in order to teach you something. Essentially, your brain is trying to convince you that what you did or what happened in that situation was so important that you must remember it and learn from it at all costs. For example, let's say you were in a car accident. Your brain would then start to make you relive that event over and over again, so that you remember to never drive carelessly. But, unfortunately, sometimes your brain plays it a little too safe. As psychologist and author Rick Hanson explains, your brain has evolved to pay special attention to anything that feels wrong, dangerous, or painful. Because our ancestors who survived were often those who worried about potential threats and problems. Hanson continues by explaining that our brains have also evolved to pay extra attention to negative social experiences, such as rejection, exclusion, humiliation, loss, and betrayal. Therefore, if someone wrongs us, our brains are hardwired to ruminate over the situation, so that we don't forget how that person made us feel. This is why it can be so difficult to forgive someone. Our brain keeps bringing up the painful memory so that we don't forget, and we end up constantly thinking about the person who wronged us. Number 2. Holding on to grudges activates your stress response system. Neuroscientist Dr. Helen Fisher explains that when you hold on to a grudge, your body stays stuck in a state of high alert. You see, our sympathetic nervous system, also known as our stress response system, gets activated whenever we recall a memory associated with fear and anxiety. When this happens, our heart rate goes up, our blood pressure rises, and we begin to sweat. Fisher explains that this response is triggered by our amygdala, which is the part of our brain that processes emotions and controls our fight or flight response. According to Fisher, the amygdala works like an alarm system. It scans our thoughts and external world for danger, and when it perceives a threat, it sounds the alarm. But the problem arises when your alarm system is set off by harmless things like an innocent text message from a friend. In other words, your amygdala is essentially going off at the slightest trigger. When you find yourself constantly stressed without any apparent reason, chances are that you may be holding on to a grudge that is keeping your stress response system activated. No. 3. You could develop physical health problems. Did you know that repressed emotions can lead to physical illness? Doctor and author James W. Pennybucker, Ph.D., explains that research shows that people who are able to express their feelings tend to have better health than those who keep their emotions bottled up inside. Pennybucker continues to explain that unexpressed emotions can lead to physical symptoms such as muscle tension, headaches, stomachaches, and other illnesses. Another study, published in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine, found that those who expressed their feelings after a stressful event had fewer health problems than those who did not. This is because when we repress our emotions, our body still reacts to them. Therefore, it is important to find healthy ways to express your emotions, rather than keeping them bottled up inside. One way to do this is through therapy. A therapist can provide you with a safe and non-judgmental space where you can open up and express your emotions. They can also teach you healthy coping mechanisms to deal with stress. No, for you age faster. It has been shown that chronic stress can speed up the aging process. Chronic stress refers to long-term stress that lasts for months or even years. And it can be caused by a variety of factors such as financial problems, relationship issues, and work-related stress. One study published in the journal Biological Psychology found that chronic stress can lead to an increase in the levels of cortisol, also known as the stress hormone. An increase in cortisol levels can cause a breakdown of muscle and bone tissue, leading to physical frailty and an increased risk of fractures. Cortisol also weakens the immune system, making the body more vulnerable to illness and infections. Additionally, chronic stress can lead to changes in the brain that affect cognitive function and increase the risk of dementia. By holding on to grudges, you are essentially keeping yourself in a state of chronic stress. This means that you are also accelerating the aging process and increasing your risk of developing age-related diseases. If you want to live a longer, healthier life, it is important to let go of your grudges and find healthy ways to cope with stress. No. 5. You lose sleep. Sleep is an essential part of a healthy lifestyle. It allows our bodies to rest and rejuvenate, which is necessary for both physical and mental well-being. However, it can be difficult to get a good night's sleep when you are holding on to a grudge. You see, when you hold on to anger and resentment towards someone, it can cause your mind to race and make it difficult to focus on sleep. This is because the emotional distress and the rumination that occurs when you are holding on to a grudge can activate your sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for the fight or flight response. When this system is activated, your body produces hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol, which can make it difficult to fall asleep. These hormones are designed to help you respond to immediate threats, and they do this by increasing your heart rate and blood pressure. When these systems are activated, your body is in a state of alertness, and it becomes difficult to relax and drift off to sleep. Additionally, holding on to grudges can cause you to worry and ruminate about the past, which can make it difficult to focus on the present moment and let go of racing thoughts. This worry and rumination can cause your mind to constantly replay the events that caused you pain, making it difficult to forget about them and move on. As a result, holding on to grudges can lead to insomnia and other sleep disorders. And No. 6. You damage your relationships. We all make mistakes. Sometimes we say the wrong thing or we do something that hurts someone else. But most of the time, these actions are unintentional. When someone unintentionally wrongs us, it can be tempting to hold on to the grudge and let the anger consume us. However, when we do this, we end up damaging our relationship with that person. Holding on to a grudge is like keeping a wound open. It prevents the relationship from healing and growing. It creates a barrier between us and the other person, and it makes it difficult to communicate and trust. When we are holding on to a grudge, we are constantly focused on the negative. We dwell on the pain and the injustice of what happened, and this negative energy is contagious. It creates a toxic environment that is harmful to the relationship. It also creates a lot of stress and emotional turmoil for ourselves. When we let go of a grudge, on the other hand, it is like closing a wound. It allows the relationship to heal and grow. It breaks down the barriers between us and the other person, and it creates a foundation of trust and understanding. When we let go of a grudge, we are choosing to focus on the positive. We choose to look for the good in the other person and in the relationship. We make an effort to understand their perspective and to forgive them for their mistakes. When we do this, we create a positive feedback loop. It creates an environment of trust, understanding, and love. Forgiveness is a powerful tool that can help us break the cycle of negativity and pain. By forgiving others, we are not only freeing ourselves from the burden of anger and resentment, but we are also opening ourselves up to the possibility of healing and growth. It is not always easy to forgive, but the benefits of doing so far outweigh any challenges. So next time you find yourself stuck in a loop of negativity and pain, try to take a step back and consider the power of forgiveness. You may just find that it is the key to unlocking a happier and more peaceful life. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching.